So you've probably used tools like ChatGPT, or maybe you've heard of things like LLaMA. But have you ever stopped to think about what's going on behind the scenes? Well, it turns out there's this huge debate happening right now, one that's really shaping the future of all AI. Some are even calling it a battle for its very soul.
Yeah, I know. Battle for its soul sounds a little dramatic, right? But honestly, behind every single AI tool we use, there's this massive philosophical split dividing the entire tech world. We're talking about a real conflict over who gets control, who gets access, and, what innovation should even look like.
So, what are the two sides in this fight? Well, on one side, you've got these tech giants building incredibly powerful systems, but keeping them under wraps. And on the other side, a massive global community building everything out in the open for anyone to see. But before we really get into the nitty-gritty of these two camps, let's just quickly make sure we're all on the same page about the basics.
Okay, so at the very heart of this whole debate is what we call an AI model. The easiest way to think about it is like the engine of a car. It's this super complex system that's been trained on just enormous amounts of data, so it can do all these incredible things. The really crucial point here, the thing this is all about, is how that engine gets built and who gets the keys to it. All right, first up, let's take a look at side number one. We're going to step inside what's often called the walled garden. This is the world of closed-source AI, where all the magic happens, well, behind lock and key. So what does closed source actually mean? It's pretty much what it sounds like. Just like that walled garden, the AI is proprietary. The actual code, the architecture, the methods they use to train it, it's all a closely guarded company's secret. Everything is developed and controlled from inside those walls. And you absolutely know the names of the players in the space. I mean, we're talking about the heavyweights, right? OpenAI's GPT-4, Claude from Anthropic, Google's Gemini. These are the really polished, super powerful tools that have just tons of corporate money behind them.
Now, there are some really good reasons why companies go down this path. From a business perspective, it makes perfect sense. It protects their intellectual property. I mean, they've invested a fortune. It also lets them have really strict quality controls, so you get a consistent, reliable product. And maybe most importantly, it lets them build in safety features and tightly control who gets to use this incredibly powerful tech.
But outside those garden walls, there's a totally different philosophy at play. So now, let's head over to what we'll call the public square. This is the bustling, wide-open, collaborative world of open-source AI. And yeah, open source is basically the polar opposite of what we just talked about. Here, the blueprints are just available to everybody. The code, the architecture, how it all works, it's all laid out for anyone to inspect, to learn from, and even to tweak and build something new on top of. And don't think this world doesn't have its own stars. Meta's LLaMA models, for example, made huge waves. You've got these incredible innovators like Mistral. And then there are entire ecosystems like Hugging Face, which is, it's basically this massive public library where thousands of developers from all over the world share the models they've built. So why would you go open? Well, the advantages are pretty compelling. For one thing, transparency. Anybody can look under the hood, which is awesome for spotting things like hidden biases. For another, innovation just explodes when you have a global community all pitching in with improvements. And maybe the biggest one is that it democratizes AI, right? It puts these powerful tools into the hands of researchers, small companies, pretty much everyone.
Okay, so we've got the walled garden on one side and the public square on the other. Two totally different ways of thinking about AI. So now let's put them head to head and really see where the big trade-offs are.
And this is really where it all comes into focus. Look at the closed-source walled garden. You get that control, you get those safeguards, but it's a black box. You have no idea what's really going on inside. And innovation is pretty much limited to the team at that one company. Now flip over to the open-source public square. You get total visibility, you get this amazing collaborative innovation, but that same openness means there's a higher potential for misuse. It's that classic trade-off, isn't it? Control versus freedom, safety versus access.
So, who wins? Who's right? The walled garden or the public square? Well, the surprising answer here is probably neither of them. It turns out the future isn't really about one side winning. In fact, things are getting a lot more complicated and a lot more interesting.
Here's the big takeaway. These two approaches, open and closed, are starting to look less like bitter enemies and more like two necessary parts of the same ecosystem. They're becoming complementary. Each one has strengths that the other one just doesn't, and the industry as a whole is starting to realize that to really advance, we kind of need both.
And you know what? We can already see this hybrid future taking shape.
You have companies that are releasing open source models, but they come with strings attached, like you can't use them for big commercial projects. Then you have others building their own secret proprietary products on top of a public open source foundation. And on top of all that, governments are getting involved, talking about new rules that might force all high-risk AI to be more transparent, whether it started as open or closed. The lines are definitely getting blurry.
Which really leaves us with a big, final question, doesn't it? As this technology becomes more and more powerful, as it weaves itself into everything we do, what do we, as a society, need more? Is it the safety and the control you get from the walled garden? Or is it the transparency and the freedom of the public square? That's the huge trade-off we're all going to be dealing with for a long, long time.